John, are you on?
Yes.
I have called MC and left a message. He didn't answer his cell phone.
Okay.
So, but I gave him my information, so he may call me back here.
All right. Thanks.
Hello.
Is MC the technology person tonight?
If he gets his message, he may be.
Right now, we don't have a technology person.
So who started it up?
I did.
Very good. Thank you, Mary. You are our technology person tonight.
Yeah.
That's true. Mary is a technology person. She's very handy.
Somewhat. See, I got to figure out some of this stuff here.
Figure out how to share the screen.
Okay, well, let's see. I need to make Eric, you are usually a co-host, aren't you?
Yeah, so I can let attendees mute and unmute. And I just checked, I can share too. I got 2 letters to read into the record. I might put up on the screen while I do it. It looks like it works for Susan. John, you have something to add about that?
Yes, Mr. Bryson sent me what he sent you.
Yeah.
And the one letter that was attached as a PDF is in fact a new letter. The other 2 letters had already been distributed.
Yeah, which one is the new? The one April 5th is the new one, right? The handwritten? They kind of...
Now the new one was dated April 8th.
April 8th, okay.
From Sue Stimpson.
I didn't get that one. I downloaded the 2 he gave me. I have one from April 3rd from Bob and Joan Mathis. Okay, yeah, it's cut off. And then I have one from Kenneth Mills.
And Kenneth Mills went out with the agenda.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to read that one in.
Yeah.
Did Mathis, is it? It's cut off.
I forwarded Mathis earlier this week.
Okay, so that one's been read in too. So you have one more that was today?
Yeah, from Sue Stimpson.
Sue Stimpson, did I not get this email? This is Barney Bryson sent this, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I have, the only ones I have from Barney are the 2 I just talked about, unless this is another one. Open up. No preview. Oh, here we go. Okay. Let me, do you want me to read that one in then?
If you want, that would be.
Yeah, I can do that. Let me save it on my desktop, and I won't read the other 2 since the committee has gotten those. Let's kill that. Hello, Chris. Stick this up here. I'm going to try to keep public participation from being overly redundant. We have a time limit in Eluc, right? 5 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, and do we have a total time limit?
The county board rules are an hour in total.
Yeah. They may not be necessary. I'll try to keep people to new information only, and if they sign the petition, then we're going to assume that they're in support of an ordinance. I see 3 attendees: Daryl Seeds, Ron Donson, and Trustee. I'm not sure who Trustee is. Now
I'm going to have a communication. It's not very long.
Okay. One last question, John. As far as we know, there are no hives on this property?
So
that's what I've been told.
Okay, because I
Can I just say, I drove out there and took a look the other night.
Yeah.
And there's none visible from the road whatsoever. But if there's some back around the other side of the house, but there's none on the road, there's none in the front yard, there's none on the side yards.
Okay, it's the last we can talk about it when another person joins, because then we have a quorum. But yeah, thank you, Mary, for that.
And I just wanted to say I tried to share this to Facebook, but I don't have the logins to share that to the county
Okay.
webpage or
So
the county
hopefully-
Facebook page. So
Hopefully MC answers.
yeah, I hope we get a call soon.
Do we have a backup person?
Um,
Hi, Aaron.
Hello.
I think MC's is the only phone number I have
Okay,
for.
very well.
I still have Andy Rhodes, but
Don't call Andy.
last time he emailed, he signed it, retired Andy. So
Don't blame him. We got 4 people, trustee Scott Bird, Ronald Don. Let's see. Okay. We got 6:30 by my laptop, but we're waiting for Stephanie and Kyle. So I will give them another minute. We have 4 attendees also on the program. Kyle may have the number of, who's the other technology person?
Will is the one who's been helping us the most. I don't know Will's last name.
that's Will Adams. I'm emailing Tim Breen because I know he's monitoring something else, probably from home, to see if maybe he can help us and maybe or try to get in touch with MC or somebody. So I'll see what I can get going this route.
All right, we have Stephanie and we're waiting for Kyle. I did not hear that Kyle would not attend, and it is his MO to come in a couple minutes after the appointed time. So I'll give him one more and then we'll start and hopefully Kyle will jump in.
Do we have John Paul? Is John Paul going to attend?
Oh, yeah, we're missing John as well. Jacob.
I'm
And
sorry, Jacob.
he's not over in attendees. I don't have contact info. I guess you could look it up on the web for Jacob. Stephanie, are you going to have the 2 connections again, or are you good with where you are?
I'm only going to have one today, I think. I'm going to
Okay.
try to live on the edge.
See how it works. Okay, well, it's 6:32. I'm going to go ahead and start the meeting and call it to order at 6:32. If our 2 missing members arrive late, I will make a note of that. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Okay, before I call the roll, I just got a email from MC. He said Brian was scheduled for tonight's meeting, but he can't get a hold of him. So hopefully nothing's happened, I guess. He's trying to see if someone else might be on site or can get back up to Brookins. So we'll just kind of keep monitoring that situation.
All right, thank you, Mary, for all that background work. Juggling with both hands you are
Yeah.
tonight.
Okay, roll call. Patterson, Paul, Store,
Present.
Esri,
Here.
Furtado,
Here.
King,
Here.
Thorsland.
Here. All right, thank you very much. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda with addendums.
So moved, Esri.
Moved by Aaron. A second, please.
I'll second.
Second by Mary. Mary Ward, would you call the roll, please?
Store,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes. All right, thank you very much. We have the March 4th, 2021 minutes. I'd entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved, Esri.
S3 again, and a second, please.
I guess I'll second again.
Mary, you beat Chris by a microsecond there. Okay, a second by King. Mary Ward, again, please call the roll.
Store,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes. Okay. All right, we begin public participation. I have 4 attendees. What I'm going to do first is I have one letter that has not been distributed to the panel that I'm going to read into the record right now for you. And then we will go to the people in the attendees. This was dated today, 4/8/2021. My name is Sue Stimson. I am the girlfriend of Barney Bryson. I retired from the U of I in 2016. The plan was for me to get to spend a lot of time enjoying Barney's pool and eventually move in with him. I was stung by the bees in so many instances that now Barney's pool is no longer a source of relaxation. These stings were from doing everyday activities in Barney's yard, like washing off lawn furniture. Just trying to float in the pool is impossible without being stung. That's where I got my most of my stings. You can sit on his back porch and enjoy a meal. You can't sit on his back porch and enjoy a meal because of the bees. I used to like to bring my dogs over with me and put a water bowl out for them, but the bees always swarmed their bowl. I was sitting on the side of my pool one day with my legs in the water, talking to my daughter, and I got stung on the back of my right thigh. I assume that she means Barney's pool here. A day later, my whole right side was itching and I had hives, so I went to Convenient Care at Carl. That was on June 21st, 2018. They said I was having so many bee stings that now I'm having a large reaction to them. The doctor prescribed an EpiPen for me to use because she was scared I would possibly start having a really bad reaction the next time. With my heart issue, an EpiPen use would not go well for me, and I'm afraid. Since that time, I just don't spend time at Barney's, and I have had to change our retirement plans, all because a neighbor of his can't take care of her bees properly. I don't even like to park my car at Barney's house because of all the droppings on my car. I was only there for 15 minutes one day and I counted over 10 on my car. It was so sticky, it had to be scratched off because it doesn't always come off in a car wash. I have nothing against the bees, but believe that if they are not becoming a nuisance to the neighbors, they should have to be moved to a rural area, not in a residential area. I don't think it's right that the people in the neighborhood can't enjoy their own yards because of those bees. Sue Stimson. All right, let that be in the record. The panel has gotten several letters. John distributed them earlier in the week. They all have the same theme. We have 5 people now. I'm going to try to do them in the order I sort of remember them coming in. I will ask you to unmute. The first would be Daryl Seeds. Daryl, if you have some new things to add about the bees, and keep in mind you have a 5-minute time limit. You should be able to unmute now. And you have the floor. Mr. Seeds. Daryl? You are muted. Okay, Daryl, I'm going to move on to someone else and then come back to you while you sort that out. I have a Ryan Donaldson. Oh, Daryl, are you in now? Are you able to unmute? Yeah, Daryl, I see your hand is up. I'm asking you to unmute so you can talk. You will have to unmute yourself. I'm not able to unmute you.
That do it?
There you go.
All right. Well, it took me a while to figure it out here. Yeah.
Okay, Daryl, you have 5
Yeah.
minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. Did you guys get my letter?
Yes, we did, and it was
Okay.
distributed to the full board.
Okay. Well, good deal. Thank you. I didn't know if you received my letter because I was a little bit later than everybody else. I brought it by and delivered it the other day. So, okay. Well, no, I said about everything I wanted to say in the letter. So appreciate
Right.
you can help us out. Okay.
All right, thank you very much,
You
Mr.
betcha.
Seeds.
You bet.
Now we'll move on to Ryan Donaldson. Ryan, can you unmute?
I don't have anything on this subject.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Are you here for another case?
Yeah.
Okay, then hang on. Sorry. All right, Scott Burgee, are you here for the B case?
I am also here for another item.
Okay, this is going quicker than expected. Who is trustee?
No, he's just. Oh, okay.
I have just a phone number and I have trustee, and I'm would like trustee. Is this Brian?
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Is
Can
this
you hear
Mr.
me
Bryson?
now? I'm very
Yes, we can.
sorry. I'm a trustee at a fire department down here, so they didn't put my name on there. My name is Barney Bryson.
All right. Hello, Mr. Bryson. You
All
have
right.
the floor.
All right. I heard you guys earlier talked about some of the packet that I had sent in to John. So in the sake of time, I'll try to skip over a lot of that as far as Black's law on definition of nuisance and Champaign County's own section for their purpose, and section 0, the destruction and diminution of the peace of people's properties. What you've done is you probably read or you've heard or you'll hear other statements by people living in these neighborhoods, and it's not just our neighborhood now. It was brought to my attention that over on Mary Lou Drive, they've been having problems with bees and that beekeeper over there. Mary, I'm sorry you didn't come by this afternoon. There's 3 beehives on the trailer out there right now. The statements by these people living in these neighborhoods affected by these beekeepers and their inability, their undesirable attitude to care for their property, for their bees, it's caused a damaging effect on their neighbors, on our property, our peace, and as you read by the letter by Sue, her health. That's not just the only person. The gentleman earlier in there, Ken, that could not sell his property at a desirable price. One of the people in there mentioned that they couldn't buy the house because their kids were allergic to bees. I'd like to clear up a few misconceptions in that this seems to be a squabble between Rena and myself. I think by the petition, you can see that is not the case. There are several people in this community that are having problems with the inability to properly care for bees. And I applaud those beekeepers that do maintain their bees in a residential setting where they are in the town. I think that's great. I'd love to swap one of them out here. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Many of the participants that I looked up don't even own bees that were talking against them. They have a right to do that. I get that. But the point is, these are real people with real issues, talking real money And just because you don't like the idea that we say something against beekeepers doesn't mean that we're against bees. The one person stated that he'd keep an eye on this subject. Well, that was the co-president of the East Central Illinois Beekeepers Association. I've heard what they've said about me in those meetings. They've known this since 2015 because that's when I started working on it, trying to keep some kind of decency and resolve privately between the neighbors and any other people, including Darlene Kloppel, which offered to do a mediation meeting, which Rena never responded to. And then the state finally stepped in. She eliminated some of her beehives because we don't count the invasion by the hundreds now. Now we're down to like the 50s and the 40s. As a matter of fact, about the last week of February, I killed about 46 working on my back deck. So I don't know really where they come from, but usually in the wintertime, wild bees have enough honey. They don't go out when it's cold like that. I've been told by Reno what color of clothes to wear, not to wear scented lotions or colognes, not to swat at bees. And when I bathe, I'm supposed to use soap that is unscented. I really consider that an invasion of my rights and my privacy here so that those bees can roam the neighborhood and do as they please. I will say, since we met when Mr. Essery was chair, the state did have her reduce those numbers, but she ignored the order by the state to remove all of those hives. She has brought some back. We've had peace for a little while, but like I said, they're coming back into the amount. And don't get me wrong, we don't go out and hunt these bees like little kids hunt for fireflies. All you got to do is sit on your deck or I'm thinking Mr. Essery's hunted fireflies before I saw that smile. We're not sitting by the bird feeders or the water troughs. They're just sitting in the deck where we get annoyed by these things. It's really
Mr.
time
Bryson, if you want to wrap up, your
Yes, sir.
time is up.
Okay, it's time to stop demonizing these people. We want to live in peace, but we don't hate bees. We don't hate dogs, but you got a zoning ordinance for barking dogs. And I've never heard anybody die of a barking dog, or as far as that goes, lose the value of their property. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bryson. The phone number, if you would unmute and let us know if you're here for the bee issue. This ends with 3435. Hello? You're unmuted if you want to say hello.
Hello, this is Diane Cook, and
Are
I
you-
live on Burwell Street.
Okay, you're here for the bees.
I am. I'm here for the bees,
All right,
and
go ahead.
I don't
Yeah.
have a swimming pool, but I do feed the birds, and I water the birds all winter long, as well as through the spring and summer, actually all year. And I've had as many as 50 to 75 bees in my around my bird water, excuse me, and in my bird feeder. They get inside the bird feeder if there's any kind of a sweet bird seed, if there's a fruit or nut combined with the bird seed, which the cardinals and some of the more exotic birds love. And so I buy that kind of stuff, and it inhibits the birds from eating and drinking like I want them to. So that is my big complaint.
All right, is that all you have for tonight?
Yes, sir. That is it.
All right. Sir is my
Thank
dad's
you.
name. I'm just Eric. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. I think all the other people in the attendees file are here for other cases. So I'm going to go
Okay.
ahead and mute you. I appreciate everyone's input. The board, we talked about this for some of the new members in last year. And at that time, from the best of my understanding, the state had intervened, and the hives were, they were told, the beekeeper was told to relocate the hives. You heard Mr. Bryson say that they had some relief there for a while. I personally have not verified whether there's hives there or not. I know that Member King said she could not see hives. This was yesterday or the day before, Mary?
It was yesterday.
Yesterday, okay. Mr. Bryson says there's hives on a trailer. So it's indeterminate amount of hives from 0 to something egregious, apparently on the property at this time. Again, for those that weren't here, John worked on a modification to the nuisance ordinance that is put together already. And I think the normal course would be for us to give direction to ZBA to look at this ordinance again. Should we choose to do that, the ZBA is a good place for the public hearing. There's no time limits, and they're very thoughtful group, and they will take the time. When you go to the ZBA, you're basically testifying. So we can get interaction. They can get as many facts as possible and decide whether they want to bring that ordinance in some form back to us here at Eluc. So at this point, this is really discussion only. And that's coming up in part 7. So when we get to that, we'll have a chance to talk about it more. If the attendees want to hang on and listen to that discussion, you can, and we will make a decision then maybe to move it on. Mr. Seeds, you have your hand up. You didn't use all your time, so I'm going to allow you to jump in here for just a minute if you have just a quick thing to add.
I am a neighbor over here at the Seeds house, and I sent a letter in to John Hall.
Yes.
I hope that got seen. My husband and I, Bob and Joanne Mathis at 2004 Burwell.
Okay, yes, it was distributed to the full board and has been read and is part of the record now. So
I did want to add that we did not, we've lived here for 31 years and we didn't have a problem until after the beekeeper came. And also, if you say you can't see the bees, it's because they're in behind the house. I can't see them from the front. You'd have to walk clear around to the back, around the farm field. And that's why perhaps you did not see them today. My complaint is basically we're residential out here. We're not agricultural. When you have something like a crop, which is a crop of bees, and you sell the honey, to me, that sounds agricultural and not residential. Our houses are close together and our lots are small, and that's why it's difficult. Thank you.
all right, thank you. All right, I'm going to go ahead. Thank you for coming by and adding to the conversation. All right, with that, I believe that that exhausts all the people that are here for that. Is there anyone here for something other than the bees who would like to speak during public participation? And that would be Mr. Donaldson or Scott Burgee. Scott Burgee's got his hand up. The floor is yours if you'd like to unmute, sir.
Yeah, no, I appreciate everybody's time. My name is Scott Berge. I am an architect with Farnsworth Group, and I'm here in regards to item 8A, which is the agronomic research and training facility. And I wanted to just sort of iterate to the board that we are certainly here to answer any questions that you might have. We think this is going to be an extremely great asset to the community and to the county to have such a great agricultural leader in our community. And 2 points that I might just clarify that when we were speaking to John, we had some items that weren't totally clear, and I don't know if they're in your board packet or not, but I just wanted to sort of focus on those for just a second here. One is, I think at the time we had mentioned that the facility might hold as many as 600 people. We have since refined that number down to around the 350 to 400 mark maximum. So that's just one point of clarification. And then the other item I want to clarify is that it's the facility that's closest to the road is intended to be, it is going to be a research facility, but it is also going to be a facility that is intended to educate the community and to help Nutrien advance their mission of global, feeding the global race, for lack of a better term. So we're trying to forward their agenda with that and make sure that they can sell their product to the local community, which will only enhance the local growers' economy and really just be an asset to the community. So I just wanted to stress those few things to the board here and happy to answer any questions if you guys do have those as the topic comes up. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate the input. Ryan Donaldson, you're here for a reason, I assume. If you want to go ahead, you can unmute and let us know.
Yeah, I'm just here on the, been going through zoning on a property that we'd like to put a couple buildings just outside of town on 45. So.
All right, so you're here for the case.
Yep.
Do you have anything you want to add in public comment? And you're going to stick around for when the case comes up, correct?
Yeah, I'm just going to stick around when the case comes up. I don't really have anything to add right now.
All right, thank you very much. All right, that exhausts our public participation. I'm going to jump back in. We'll close section 5 now for the evening. Thank you again for everybody. Moving on to 6, communications. I understand, Mr. Storr, you have something you would like to add.
Yes, I do. Thank you. This morning, I got a little news feed from the News Gazette, and it reported on a local group doing promoting choose to refuse single-use plastics. Turns out that newspaper, the News Gazette, is from Lexington, Virginia. But having read a bit about the article, I thought that the community groups that were promoting choose to refuse single-use plastics fits very well along some of my own concerns about groundwater quality, preserving remaining groundwater quality, and also to avoid the litter that we find so abundantly along the roads and especially interstate highways. At some future time, well, I'd like to try to see if we can promote this notion in our own community. And I'll speak further to that point as I talk with other environmental groups in the area. Eric?
Thank you, Chris. Any other board members have something for communications tonight? All right, seeing none, let's move on to part 7, new business. This is information only. First part A, Susan is on part 4 of our waste management. Susan, the floor is yours. All right, we don't hear you, so you may be muted. But your slides are up. Susan.
Hi, sorry. As soon as I shared the screen, my ability to unmute disappeared, so I apologize for that delay. Hi, I'm Susan Monty. I am a planner with the Department of Planning and Zoning and serve as the County Recycling Coordinator, and this is part 4 of this information series about solid waste management. And this evening we'll talk about Illinois landfill bans, which is a state level kind of set of laws and regulations that all citizens in every county of Illinois have to deal with. So that's the topic this evening. And this display just is a simple overview of the primary reasons for each of these landfill bans. And you might look at yard waste, for example, and think, why is that so harmful? Why does it need to be banned from a landfill? It's biodegradable and clean, but it takes up unnecessary space in a landfill and causes issues with methane gas generation and acidic leachate, which can be quite awful for a landfill. So that's the primary reason behind that ban, which was it was the first ban in Illinois. And several states across the country have this ban. Lead acid batteries is the next one that happened. And of course, lead acid batteries contain acid and lead, which are very toxic, and lead can do extreme terrible things to children if they ingest lead and it leaches out and gets into a water system. It can really be harmful. So as it happens, the lead acid batteries are probably the most successful recycling program out there in the world, actually, according to Battery Council International. So 99% of all lead acid batteries are recycled. In Illinois, EPA, or actually, I don't know if this is specific to Illinois, but the EPA does estimate that up to 80% of the plastic and lead in any new battery purchased is recycled. So very successful program. Tires, why is that a problem for landfills? The primary reason is that the tires unevenly settle in the landfill and tend to rise up to the surface, and that just throws off the landfill cover effectiveness. So that's one of the primary reasons. Of course, tires can be recycled quite wonderfully. So yeah, that's that program. White goods contain refrigerants, or they contain mercury in the electrical components. Older appliances may contain PCBs still. So those are banned kind of components. Of course, the metal is highly profitable as a commodity. So there's so many reasons not to put white goods into a landfill. Moving along, used oil contains hazardous contaminants. As it's used, it picks up all kinds of toxins, and oil can be really valuable as a recyclable resource once it's cleaned and treated. I didn't explore a lot about the reasons used oil is so terrible, other than the hazardous contaminants to a landfill. I was thinking in my mind it's a fire hazard, but I didn't confirm that. But for whatever reason, motor oils and used oils are banned from Illinois landfills. Mercury switch thermostats. Of course, the mercury is very harmful, and mercury can also cause brain damage if it gets into people. And so that's a bad thing, and that's why it's banned from landfills. Anything that's in a landfill can possibly leach out into adjacent environments, including water systems, if the envelope that the landfill has is not effective. So, oh, I'm sorry, I meant to move my marker. There it is. Okay, then on to a landfill ban that I'm very familiar with, starting in 2012, the early version of the current e-waste ban. And this ban was recently improved in the year 2018. And so now it's a much better kind of environmental law that bans e-waste from Illinois landfills. So electrical components contain numerous metals and toxic chemicals. Cathode ray tube TVs have the leaded glass screens. So those are the primary reasons to keep these items out of a landfill. Plus, so many of the components of electronics items can be recycled, and that is a very smart thing to do. You don't want to have to use up valuable resources when you can recycle existing materials. Then finally, the most recent law is the rechargeable batteries. Rechargeable batteries contain a variety of corrosive chemicals. And so this is the newest law, and that's pretty much the overview of the landfill bans in effect in Illinois. So I will move on. I wanted to just circle back a bit to the yard waste landfill ban and note that at the Champaign County Environmental Stewards webpage, where the Champaign County, all of the resources about where to take stuff for recycling is located, contains on the homepage this kind of information about each community option that has a program for collecting yard waste. And of course, anyone in Champaign County or from anywhere can use the Landscape Recycling Center, which is a wonderful resource. So yeah, that's that information. And then recently in 2016, that's not very recent, but in 2016, there was renewed interest in what can I do with my yard waste, because I can't burn the leaves anymore. So I just wanted to bring this ordinance out, which is a Champaign County ordinance. And for anyone that wants to learn more about it, it's in our nuisance ordinance. And essentially, there's a 1,000-foot area out adjacent to the cities of Champaign and city of Urbana corporate limits, where it is considered a prohibited burn area for landscape waste. So that's how that looks generally. And there are some exceptions in these townships adjacent to the northern sections of these two cities, because, like, for example, Champaign Township has an option for residents of Champaign Township. They can drop off their leaves and landscape yard waste at the township facility, and that's just for those residents located outside of the city of Champaign limits in Champaign Township. So that's a nice resource. But some of the other northern located townships like Hensley or others do not have that kind of capacity. So there are some conditions whereas those residents may be able to burn landscape waste provided certain conditions are met. So it's an interesting new ordinance in the county that I thought I'd bring to your attention. Finally, I wanted to make note of the extended producer responsibility type of new legislation. And I'm bringing this up because only of all of those landfill bans that I went over, the 8 or so in Illinois, the only one that is a true extended producer responsibility legislation passed was the electronics, the e-waste law. And what this means is that product stewardship is considered by the manufacturer of the products, of the electronics products. And any electronic manufacturer doing retail business in Illinois has to belong to a clearinghouse of sorts, or has to enter into an agreement to help offset the costs to transport and recycle residential electronics products that are collected. And so they take up a huge portion of the cost of that whole program to recycle electronics collected from residents. Other entities that take up the remaining costs include local governments, such as Champaign County and all of the municipalities that work with the county in partnership. And we cover the costs to actually collect the electronics. The manufacturer is responsible for the costs to transport like 9 semi-loads of collected electronics out to the processors for processing and recycling. But all of the local governments have to do is pay for the collection costs, which are significant. And let's see, there's not really a direct cost to the residents or the public, but they support local governments, so it's sort of like an indirect cost. But a lot of different entities work together to have a more effective program instead of just having all of the costs be the responsibility of the local government. So this is the way of the future. Hopefully more of these, if there is a landfill ban, another one, or any need to collect en masse large quantities of items from our citizens, this is the best kind of structure for that, to share the costs and have manufacturers thinking about end-of-life processing. So really, that's what I wanted to present today. This is simply a slide to show that the existing version of the latest Champaign County Solid Waste Management Plan does have some provisions that seem to support implementing and enforcing of landfill bans, but these provisions will be looked at shortly. So that's the end of this presentation. It's just a piece of information to share about the landfill bans that are in effect in Illinois. Thank you very much. And as always, please notify me if you have any questions.
All right, thank you, Susan, very much. We have one more part to go. And
Eric, I was just going to mention Kyle has
yeah,
joined.
that's what I was just going to
Okay,
give. He
okay,
joined
cool.
us at 7:05, Mr. Patterson. So when we do the next roll call, Mary, please remember to include Mr. Patterson.
You didn't
Thank you,
have to
Aaron.
say exactly how late I was, Eric.
Well, that's all part of the record, Kyle. But glad to see you're safe. Susan, if you want to go ahead and stop sharing.
Yes, I'm trying to find that control. Okay, where is it?
So stop on the screen sharing. Let me see if I can do this.
There it
and
is,
not-
there it is, there it is. Sorry.
You got it? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
thank you very much.
I'm always afraid to push a button in a Zoom meeting and then disappear completely from view. All right, thank you very much again, Susan. Chris, you have your hand up. You have a question?
Yes, I do. Susan, are there any other materials that are under consideration for being banned from landfills or have other restrictions that you're aware of?
Yeah, and that's going to be discussed in our final part 5 of the series next month. There are a number of current bills being considered, not a number, maybe 2 or 3, by the current Illinois General Assembly. One, to develop a paint stewardship program. It wouldn't necessarily be a landfill ban, but it would be an extended producer responsibility kind of program. So that's very exciting if that passes. And then the other would be for carpeting. So
oh yeah,
that's very exciting that these bills are currently before the General Assembly. Hopefully they'll
how
move.
about mattresses? That's another one that's a real nuisance, real problem to dispose of, isn't it?
It's a problem material. I'm not aware of any legislation in Illinois this session for that.
Much obliged.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Mary? Susan, sorry, I am got too many people on my screen. All right, thank you, Susan. Moving on to B, we had a lot of public input about the honeybees in this particular area, but our main discussion is a continuation, I guess, of the discussion last year of the potential of adding some words to the nuisance ordinance that help deal with honeybees in residential areas. I think all that Mr. Hall is looking for is some direct from the board if we want to go ahead and let ZBA look at this again and hold some hearings and bring that ordinance back to us. At the time, when we met last time, just for a little history, it seemed that the situation had been taken care of by the state, and it wasn't something that was going to continue. And we deemed it not something we wanted to do the work on and add to the ordinance at that time. That situation may have changed in this particular instance, and maybe we do. Stephanie, you have a question?
No, I wanted to sort of echo what you said. I think, at the time we thought the state's intervention was going to take care of the situation, but that does not seem to be the case. And, I want to echo my deep and abiding love for honeybees. I think I've mentioned this multiple times. I did my 3rd grade science project on bees. Like they've always been very special to me, but this doesn't seem like there's the tool to take care of the situation. And this has probably been the thing that I've heard the most about since I've been, besides solar farms, I think that at some point we need to resolve this situation. So I do think if we can I think sending it to ZBA is a would be a viable option to get that public feedback.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. Aaron, you were next.
So actually hit the unmute instead of using the space bar. Yeah, thanks, Eric. I would agree with you, Eric and Stephanie. I might also add a little bit. Last year when we had the actual Eluc meeting where we were looking at passing the ordinance on to the ZBA to give direction for the ZBA to start opening, to have their hearing on it. Hearing, yeah. At that particular meeting, basically the only public participation we had was those who were against any kind of an ordinance, is what I would say. That said, I would, and this is me speaking, the rest of you, I mean, I know Eric and Stephanie and Kyle, you were on the committee too at the time, you can disagree with this, but I would say that kind of in light of that feedback only being negative to the proposed ordinance or kind of any kind of an ordinance, I would say Eluc basically kind of passed on the idea of going ahead and having hearings on the ordinance, let alone whether or not we were, finally actually pass it. We just kind of delayed on it. And again, in large part because it sounded like the state had taken care of it, was going to take care of the issues. So we just kind of set it aside, I guess you could say, just kind of drop the issue and just let it sit there. I know Mr. Hall and his staff, they have the ordinance is still there. They obviously haven't just totally trashed it. So unless there would be anything that he would wish to update due to any new news, it would be fairly easy for him to bring it back. We aren't taking true action on this tonight, but we can give direction. I don't know why we can't give direction to where if we want to see this again, I'm assuming we would need to actually have it come back to us as a committee and then vote to give it back to ZBA, or vote then if we're going to give it to ZBA and then go through the hearing and back to us and then to the county board for final approval if that happens. I still don't like passing ordinances just to pass them. But Mr. Hall's brought up the idea that if we do, and some of this, if we pass, and it's been known that it's not going to necessarily solve all the issues, because the idea if we're doing this for residential and somebody lives up against an agricultural, well, who's to say that they couldn't have bees just right across the fence, and that would still be an issue with bees coming into somebody's backyard. And I believe that some of the people who are hoping and wishing that we would have an ordinance understand this, if not all of them understand this. But I guess at this point in time, last year I went into that meeting with the idea that I would vote to pass it on and start the process of looking to add this ordinance. At the end, like I say, after the input that we had at that particular meeting, I voted again to just basically kind of drop it at that point in time, for just a lack of better words. But as of now, I guess I'm back to, I'm willing to have Mr. Hall bring it back to us and actually probably go through with sending this to the ZBA, having hearings, having it added into our ordinance that there is something on the books, so that should there truly become, and obviously it would have to be shown that somebody's has, too many hives or, whatever. If someone is violating the ordinance, then steps can be taken to resolve the issue through the county ordinance as well. So that's all I have to say, and thanks.
Thank you, Aaron. Mary?
Hey, I just want to go on record too as saying that I'm a big fan of bees, that, I wish they could send some of them over to where I live in Southeast Urbana, because every time I get any on my flowers, I get excited and, oh my gosh, step carefully. We don't want to scare the bee off, right? Because you see them so seldom in so many parts of the town. I guess the other thing I want to say is real quick. So this ordinance would not preclude people entirely from keeping bees in residential areas. It would just limit the number of hives you can have within like a property or how many square miles, or, because I was reading back over the minutes and I don't think it was completely clear to me. No,
If
I'm new.
you
I wasn't here for it. So
look at the meeting date, it's part of the packet for that, the proposed words. And no, it doesn't preclude hives. It gives some specific amounts and things that can be done to help these kind of nuisance problems, keeping water available, a fence that makes the bees go up before they go out. There was a lot of detail, and there was some model ordinances that came from other states and towns. My memory isn't good enough to tell you exactly which date that was, but I'm sure if you send an email to John Hall, he'll tell you what night that meeting was, or he can send you what was in the packet, the link to it.
And that's where if it,
but I do worry a little bit then that, I mean, I don't want anyone to be precluded from keeping bees, but in this neighborhood too, it probably means that the neighbor who's keeping bees is going to continue to keep them even at the minimal amount. So we can't guarantee that we're completely going to be able to abate any of these problems. You know, I mean, I agree that having a pool full of bees would be, even somebody like me who loves them, that would be a lot. But I mean, we're still going to have people keeping bees. So
the details is where if we would basically, I guess, give Mr. Hall direction to bring it back, that would be, you know, like if we wanting to bring it back for May, that's where you could truly look at the details. Again, whether or not Mr. Hall would have anything that he would want to update from what we saw earlier, that would be his call, and maybe he could speak to that if he so chooses now, or if you would wanting to.
Yeah, so John, I think you have direction. I think we'd like to bring this up again. If it fits in the May docket, then that would be appropriate. You can bring back what you have. You can bring back things if you want any additions to it from what you've heard this evening. In the meantime, I would also encourage, if you see this come up, the people that were in attendance tonight to come back again. I'm sure we'll have a lot of people that will be interested in this if it gets on the agenda. So, John, you have direction. Do you have any questions?
No, I have direction.
All right. Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone.
Real quick, Mary, for your reference, it was the November 5th meeting. And then the other thing that, the other big thing that was like the other ordinance part was more requirements about water sources on the property in order to maybe hopefully mitigate the bees going out, you know, other places looking for water. But it's a pretty good set of info, but it's on the November 5th Eluc from 2020.
All right, very good. And it looks like we just went live on Facebook. So it looks like Mary Ward has done lots of background work. Thank you very much, Mary Ward, for that and get us where we belong. Moving on to 8A, the proposed text amendment to add agronomic research and training facility as a special use permit in the Ag 1 and Ag 2 agricultural zoning districts. John, do you have anything to add from what's in the packet?
No, I don't.
Okay, we have people here to talk about this. We have one person here in attendance. If the board has any questions, I think it was presented quite well. There is a great slideshow that was sent that we deferred. It's put together well, but I'd like to see that when it actually comes up as the case. I think that would be the appropriate time for that. We heard one change in capacity tonight. Does anyone else have questions? I believe it was Scott. Scott, did you have anything you wanted to add at this point besides what you added earlier?
No, I think I'm great. I just willing to answer any questions if anybody has any. So thank you.
Okay. Does the board have any questions about this? We're voting basically. Yeah, Aaron.
Aaron, I didn't necessarily have any questions. I was just going to make a statement that I don't see any reason personally not to go ahead with this. In large part, the agronomic research and training facility the one that is proposed is somewhat different, I think, in large part because of like the large training space and everything that's there. But the area south, and usually kind of generally more a little bit southwest, but south of Champaign is kind of a hotbed for agronomic research facilities. BASF, it's a Seymour address, but they're just a mile and a half off of the Monticello Road to the north. BASF has 2 research farms. There's one for their chemical side and one for their seed side. Valent has a research farm. Corteva has a research farm for their Pioneer seed. And there's the area right down there is just kind of a general, like I say, hotbed, it seems. And from what this looks like it could be, I mean, if anything, it'll bring more people through Champaign County. So yeah, I'm all in favor of it. So that's all I had to say on this item. Thanks.
All right, Mary?
I do have a quick question. So the training side of it would be for things like application, or is it more just training on what kind of products they're selling?
It would be it'd be a little bit of both. They will have some demonstration fields that they intend to utilize some precision agricultural products on, but they will also, a big part of their business model is a digital component so that their growers can have on board direct information in their combines and their tractors and just in general on their farms, so that they have more input as to what is actually going on their farms, where they need to put different items that Nutrien sells. So it's a little bit of both, I would say.
Yeah, I think the big words in agriculture now are big data.
Oh, very much so. My parents still farm up in Kankakee County, and I just have to echo what Aaron says, that we're really lucky we live here with so much, information for farmers and so many opportunities for people to come from all over the state to get training and the like, and also learn about new innovations in farming. So I also don't have any reason why we shouldn't vote for this.
Yeah, Dr. Stewart.
Thank you, Eric. Is this for specific like crops, or is this going to, do you anticipate to be for newer types of crops? And
Yeah, I intend
whereabouts will this be actually? Do you have a specific location picked out?
We do, yeah. So the main focus, I'll answer your first question. The main focus will be corn and soybeans, since that's the main product and main crop in our area here. Nutrien as a group does do other crops, so there might be some research associated with those, but the main demonstration and the main research, to my understanding, is going to be corn and soybeans in this facility. And then the exact location of the facility will be on 900 North, which is about 1.5 miles or 2 miles east of Route 45. So just a little southeast of the airport, of Willard Airport.
All right, any other questions for Scott while we have him here? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to add the proposed text amendment agronomic research and training facility as a special use permit in Ag 1 and Ag 2. Who would like to make that motion?
So moved, Esri.
Esri, okay, thank you. In a second, Mr. Patterson, he was there first. All right, very good. Mary, would you call the roll?
Patterson,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes. All right, that passed unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on. Let's see what we have here. New business 9. A, zoning case 002 AM 21, a request by Ryan and Amanda Donaldson 725 North Maple, Paxton, doing business as D5 Holdings Group LLC to change the zoning district designation from the Ag 2 Agricultural Zoning District to the B4 General Business Zoning District in order to establish and operate a proposed special use permit in related zoning case 003S21, consisting of multiple principal buildings on the same lot on a 7.05 acre tract of land on the east half of the northeast quarter of Section 33, Township 20 North, Range 9, east of the third principal meridian in Somer Township with an address of 3804 North Cunningham Avenue, Urbana. Mr. Donaldson's here. If you have anything you want to add, or if the board has any questions, Mr. Donaldson, is there anything more you want to bring forward?
No, it's just a little description is one and possibly two buildings. That's why I want to rezone it, because we were possibly looking at a second building in the future. We're a construction company. This is two buildings that we would try to lease. You know, I would take half the one and try to lease the other half of the one. Cater to construction, you know, larger sidewalls, a little more storage space, easier to use. We run a Illini fire service out of Urbana, and just looking at expanding into a larger space. And I know that these properties are a little harder to find, so it could be a good opportunity, and this will keep some of our semi and truck traffic out of downtown. So I'm here to answer any questions anybody might have on it.
All right, any questions from the board? The packet has a lot of information in it, and touches upon the water management, which is, as pointed out, always a concern up in that area. But it looks like they have a good solution proposed for that. I don't see any questions from anybody, so I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Mr.
Chris.
Stewart, the second by Stephanie. Mary, would you call the roll?
Patterson,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes. All right, thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Donaldson, for being here for questions.
Thank you.
Moving on to 9B, County Board opposition to Senate Bill 1602. You've seen what we have put together here as a county, and you've seen, I hope, the email from Megan. Before we get a motion on this, I think it'd be good to have a discussion about whether we want to follow the format that Megan had in the email. Let me see if we can bring that up. Basically, it listed people, not just the board chair or as a board, but this is from DeWitt County. Their resolution then lists the names of all the people that are on the board. They show what I assume is the full county board here. Is the committee interested in modifying what we have and signing off as individuals on this as well? Just a little background from me. I got thrown in as chair when I wasn't chair in ZBA when the original wind farm ordinance came in. These were long meetings. There was a lot of hearings, and then there was a lot of hearings on the actual wind farm application we had. John Hall and the ZBA and staff did really an incredible amount of work on the ordinance that we have in Champaign County. Really took into consideration people who were enthusiastic for wind and those who were not enthusiastic at all. And I think that our ordinance is very kind to the people that don't necessarily want wind power near to their property. We have really ample setbacks. We took a lot of consideration into the sound studies. We put a lot of provisions for complaints. I think that the county, no fault of mine, did a very good job on the ordinance that we have. And this state bill tries to come in and kind of run right over that. We've seen up in Ford County around Paxton what happens when you don't have an ordinance or a good ordinance, and they get really close, and it causes problems later on. There's been, as far as I know, no calls to the complaint line in the Champaign County part of the wind farm to the east of us. We have 10 towers, 10 or 12. And even at that time, it was clear that these would get bigger and taller. And we put a cap on, maximum size and stuff for a reason. If we were to allow bigger ones, then I would want to see the setbacks become greater in a proper ratio to fit that and not have a bill like this come through. So it's really up to the board. If you want to go on record individually, then I think we can give John direction for that. John, would that be a lot of work to do?
You mean just adding name blanks?
Yeah, like the DeWitt model, or I'm not unhappy with what we have. I think it carries the same amount of power. I'm not really not fixated on either one. We could all sign it like the Declaration of Independence, or we could send it as the document as we have. Does it have any implications on the vote for this before the board if we change the format, John?
I don't think so. The thing is, the resolution, I guess the resolution that would go to the board would have to specify all those voting in the affirmative shall sign below, because we don't know who's going to vote in the affirmative to begin with. I would just like to point out that the DeWitt County resolution has no facts in it. Facts meaning numbers.
Right.
It does have a lot of facts, and they are good background, but they don't give any examples. And in the one that is in the packet, we actually point out that we have a 1,200-foot minimum separation, and the state is looking to reduce that by a lot.
Yeah, I would not, pardon me if I didn't make that clear. I wouldn't want to change anything that's in the resolution itself. I just was thinking of adding the option of having all the people who voted in the affirmative added to the current resolution. You're absolutely correct. You point out the actual nuts and bolts of why we are opposed to it.
But I think we could definitely provide for a list of names voting in the affirmative. It's not a typical thing, but we'd have to.
How does the board feel about that, Stephanie?
Can I ask, just to be real honest, like, is there any more political weight if we do that? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, is the state legislature going to be like, well, Stephanie Furtado said, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we as a body, does it really matter? I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, when you say Stephanie Furtado, I think it matters, but
they'd be like, who?
Oh, you're world famous, Stephanie. With that, and that's a good point, Stephanie, perhaps we may want to just leave it with the full weight of just the board voting on it, because then we also don't give people the opportunity to see if there was any dissension to it. Look, they were not unanimous in this, and if it passes, it comes across sort of as a more unanimous statement from the board. So if the board's comfortable, we can just act on it as the way it is proposed now. Aaron?
I guess I have no real opposition to individually signing our names, but again, I don't know if it is truly needed. For one thing, I'm not going to say there won't be someone voting in opposition to this, but really and truly, I can't single out anyone who would be on the board who would be, in my mind. I'm not going to say that it couldn't surprise me, but I personally can't think of anyone who would say that no, I prefer the state to override us, our own local jurisdiction. So that, to my way of thinking, I could be wrong, but I can't in my mind imagine anybody saying, oh, give the state more power over us. I don't see that happening personally.
All I can say is quietly during all these hearings, a couple of farmers came up to me and they never spoke out in the meetings, but what they whispered into my ear was, as long as the tips don't hit, give me as many as I can have. Because they were looking at the land leases and they were very excited to have a small piece of land develop that kind of guaranteed income for a long time. But again, I don't think anyone would vote, yes, I want the state to step on our ordinance and push it into the ground and put these things closer. So I would propose we leave it as is and take a vote on whether we want to move this. And I think the board is in consensus with that. So I'd entertain a motion to approve the opposition to Senate Bill 1602 with the current resolution. Did I see a hand up? Sorry, that was Mary. Mary makes the motion. Chris will second. Is that agreeable? All right. Mary Ward, would you call the roll, please?
Patterson,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes. Again, that's unanimous. Is this something we want to keep off consent? Does anyone think we need to discuss this at the meeting or just let this go through on consent? I'm for consent. Since it passed unanimous, and I think that Aaron is right. I'm not sure who would vote against it. So, all right.
I'd like to ask to keep it off consent.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, particularly, it's the county board sending a message to another government body. So, yeah, I just think it's good to make sure that people are aware of what's going on and we can discuss it if, because I know it's obviously like Eric said. I mean, he's probably been through a lot more than I have, but and understanding like how important of an issue solar farms are to people. So for a variety of reasons.
These are wind farms.
Oh yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, there's a fundamental difference between the two. I think that Chris, you had something to add?
Yes, I agree with Kyle. I think that given the weight of the matter, it ought to be heard at the full board.
But I've already taken it off my list. All right, moving on to 10, other business. We do have a semi-annual review of the closed session minutes. You may have gotten the note with the recommendations from the state's attorney's office to keep everything we do have closed. I, as chair, would agree with that, but I'd entertain a motion to keep all the closed session minutes closed as recommended by the SA. I'm not sure if Aaron is making a motion or sneeze.
Well, just had a little like cough, but yeah, sure. No, I'll make the motion to.
All right,
go along
motion by
with
Aaron.
me.
And a second? I'll take a second from Stephanie Furtado. Thank you very much, Stephanie. Mary, would you call the roll?
Patterson,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes. All right, those minutes will remain closed. Thank you very much. We have under 10B, the monthly reports, February, we're practically up to date. Did anyone have any questions for John on the monthly report? Or John, did you have anything you wanted to add about the monthly reports?
I have nothing to add.
Again, thank you. It's nice to see these things caught up. Lots of work there involved, so it's appreciated. There is no chair's report. Designation of items to be placed on the consent agenda. I have 8A, 9A, and 10A. And we will leave.
9A only. as the
Yeah,
only-
9B is off. I had
No,
8A.
9A only. The other ones were Eluc, approved by Eluc only.
Oh, that's true. 9A only. Yes, right. I always make that. I'm very used to ZBAs.
No problem.
So 9A goes on the consent agenda and the rest are good. With that, it looks like we're done for the night. Unless somebody has something they want to add, I would call this meeting adjourned at 7:43. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mary, for all your extra work in the background to get us up and live. So have a good evening, everyone. And
Thanks,
thank you all
everyone.
that came in for public participation.
Good night.
Good job. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying good night, good people.
You
I was
interrupted.
gonna
the
say,
famous
good job on the maps, John.
I can't take credit for that. That's my staff, but I'll pass it along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, all.